Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we move to Japan so we can finally exchange Valentines with Tom Nook. There are secrets where fairies don't live, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society is where fairies don't live with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, a coffin, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be going through the news from the week, and then on Thursday, we're going to be ranking Donkey Kong villains. But for real this time, Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. I am a little bit sick.
Yep. And I am a little bit sick.
Yes.
And I'm getting over being sicker.
We had quite the week.
Mm-hmm.
I messaged you on Wednesday being like, hey, maybe we should record
remotely
because I'm not feeling 100%.
And I was like, bro, I'm right there with you. I think that's a great idea. Let's go remote. On second thought, let's not record at all.
And so you were basically just out of commission
out. Right.
the rest of the week. So this also prevented us from recording the Patreon NCS Arcade episode that we planned to record over the weekend. But all of that is happening this week. We just took a mulligan.
Sometimes we just got to look at the course ahead of us and be like, no, next time.
Exactly. Sometimes your body is just rejecting the recording schedule.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And because if it were up to our brains, our healthy brains, we would always accept.
No, but unfortunately, our healthy brains were just running out of our noses.
That's right. Well, and I don't know about you, Mark, but first of all, I had a fever for about 4 days straight.
Oof, awful.
Which means I was not hallucinating, but as I was trying to sleep, I would imagine puzzles that couldn't be solved and then task myself with solving them.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
It's the worst. There was the first real night with this fever, I was imagining little boxes with words in them, and the words would be like heat or discomfort, and I would try to make the box more transparent until I could see all the way through the other side. But then a new box would pop up with a different word, like ache or pain, and they just kept coming.
That sounds miserable.
That was all right. Mark, if people would like to support us, they can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society. And if they're contributing at the 8 or 16-bit levels, they get access to once-a-month episodes of miniseries like NCS Arcade.
Yes, we're about to kick off Season 3 of NCS Arcade.
Yep.
By recording that episode, we are going to record last weekend. And in that episode, we are going to be talking about the arcade versions of 1 3/4 Nintendo classics in the original arcade version of Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., and Donkey Kong 3. So I'm playing this. I bought the Arcade Archives versions that Hamster puts out and from the Nintendo eShop. And so that's how I've been playing the arcade version of Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., and Donkey Kong 3. Really looking forward to talk about this.
As am I. Because these are all very interesting games, and there's at least one stone cold classic in here, and then some other challenging things.
Right.
But good games, and I largely good games that I'm excited to talk about with you. We are going to be talking about them on Saturday, which, if you are a member of the Patreon and you're supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels, you can listen to. But if you are following us for free or following us not at all, you can email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com and give us your thoughts, your questions, your observations, your memories about Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, and we will incorporate those into a listener feedback episode to follow. So everyone's basically available to submit for that and listen to it on Patreon for free. We put that up for everyone.
Yep. With that email address,
yes,
you can also be invited to our Discord.
Yes, which is a fun place where people are talking about Nintendo stuff all the time. One of these days, Mark, I suspect we will get a non-Switch 2 Direct. Possibly, this is a possible thing, right?
Yeah, I believe it'll happen.
And people will be in that Discord chatting about what's being revealed and not revealed there. It's just a great fun time. So get in there. Mark, are you ready to talk about what we've been playing this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
So outside of the game of solving invisible puzzles that are unsolvable as I try to sleep and my brain slowly melts on my nose, I've not played too many video games this week. I've been chipping away at the Donkey Kong games, and I continue to play Metroid Dread a little bit, which I started playing the week before. I don't remember if we talked about this on last week's episode, but I am playing it on hard mode.
Hmm. Do you notice like a difference since it's been a while since you played Dread before?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's the thing, and I as I'm playing and hitting various walls, I remember what I said about hard mode when it was originally revealed, which is why would I want this? Because I find the joys of Metroid Dread to largely be like exploration and like movement based and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it makes it more fun to be killed by a boss in 2 hits.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm stuck in this now, and I'm pretty deep into the game. I'm maybe like 75% of the way through it, and I think I'm going to try to stick it out to the end. But I'm also already dreading the final boss fight on the hard difficulty. I don't know that I can do it.
Yeah, would you say they're enjoying it now, or do you just feel like you want to continue to push through?
Yeah, no, I am still totally enjoying it. When I'm like out in the world, it's usually not a problem. But like, I was running around exploring and I dropped in on like the Kraid boss battle. And I was like, oh no, this sucks.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I eventually beat him. I don't feel more accomplished for beating him on hard mode, but anyway, I'm playing Metroid Dread, and I still love it. I feel like I screwed myself a little bit with this decision, but
Is there stuff you can go back, like more items you could go back and get? Like, oh, you can get more missiles
no,
or
and like it's not as though the enemy behaviors are different. It's just you deal less damage and you take more.
uh-huh. Yeah, that doesn't sound appealing to me at all. In fact, so the thing that I've been playing because I just can't get enough Donkey Kong is Donkey Kong Country Returns HD.
Tell me about that. Tell me how like that is going. Do you feel like it is good to revisit this game again? Do you feel like you get your money's worth?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm not far enough in yet to really have a set opinion in my head about it because I remember that in even Tropical Freeze, it took a while for that game
Yeah,
to
totally.
really like
Sure.
um kind of open up in the worlds to become more interesting and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not there yet in Returns HD to really make a judgment call on that. I will say that I'm playing on modern mode, which is what they call basically easy mode, where you get an extra heart for each character, and you have more items available to you, different types of items, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I have not reached a point yet where I'm like, boy, I'm sure glad that I had those extra hearts. But I know it's coming because I remember getting far enough in the game where that was like a real problem.
Yeah, well, and like you're gonna get to those like bucket levels and the minecart levels where even the extra heart doesn't really help you.
Right.
Um, so good luck on all that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other items
And
they
that
sell you.
spider level.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other items they sell you are basically just like straight up, hey, you have invincibility in a rocket barrel for short amount of
Okay,
time.
well that's not bad.
It's
That's pretty
not,
good,
but it's
yeah.
like it's basically acknowledging that these levels are
Too hard.
too hard.
Right.
But I'm not there yet. So the thing that's been interesting is getting into the rhythm of the momentum of the characters in this game because it's different from how I remember it. But it's been a while since I played Tropical Freeze, and it's been a really long time since I've played this game. And so, like, Donkey Kong Country as a series, like the rare ones on the on the Super Nintendo, like they have a really unique momentum to them as well.
Totally, yeah.
And so, but this one is different from that. Like, I feel like I know the rhythm of the original Donkey Kong Country because I played it a ton. And so, even though it is a little bit squirrely, I'm used to it. This one is just taking me a little bit more time to get used to. Um, but
Which is also tough because like the game will make you stop and like blow flowers and stuff too, which is an absolute momentum killer.
right, and that is one thing that like now it's just a button press. You just press like or button combination. It's like down and X or Y or something like that, and so it's fine, but it still does kill the momentum.
Right.
And but it's really only important if you are trying to get all the puzzle pieces.
That's a good point.
Like if you don't really care about that, and I don't. The thing is, I enjoy getting the puzzle pieces that I can like find in the world easily, but I'm not really driven to like get every puzzle piece in the entire game.
No,
So
that's just not how you play games.
yeah, so but I do like being like, "Oh, I wonder if I can go over there," or like I like finding the secrets.
It's always fun to find a secret. Yeah.
But I just don't care about being completionist in this game. So yeah, overall I would say I'm enjoying it. In my mind, Tropical Freeze is the better game, but
That also
I'm
just
not
feels
really
like an objective truth, right?
the music's not as good in this one
Yes.
as well, and I think that which is interesting because the enemies are like musical tikis, but they're just not. It just feels like it. I don't know.
It means the music is more evil. We're going to be ranking these guys.
Yeah. That's right. It just feels like it's a good first draft, but like I said, I'm not far enough in it to have like a really strongly held opinion about it. And the first time you get the silhouette level, like it's still really striking and it looks really good in HD. So not a bad game. But also check back in like a week or something when I've hopefully played more of it and am a little further in and just have a stronger grasp what the levels end up looking like, because I just remember being really frustrated with the difficulty, and I'm anticipating hitting that wall again at some point.
All right, well, that is what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
We got our weekly Nintendo Music update.
Always good to get the weekly Nintendo Music update.
And this week is a classic, Super Mario World, originally released for the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
I've can't believe this wasn't already on there. For some reason, I thought it was.
I thought it was too. I mean, like when I checked today and saw Super Mario World, I was like, really? That's the new? I thought we had that.
Yeah, but a classic. I mean, hard to complain. Good to kind of get these, I don't know, staples out of the way. Like get them added. Maybe not out of the way, but get them added to the library. So then we can get to like the freakier stuff.
They're kind of in the way now.
Get to the freakier stuff later. Also, last week on Thursday, January 30th, Ridge Racer 64 was released for Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack with the Nintendo 64 Online.
I know we say it all the time, but what a bewildering choice.
Right. Yeah.
Why not a cruising game? That was published by Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know anything about Ridge Racer. This is not a game or a series that I'm familiar with at all.
It's a car racing game. It's kind of all I know about it, but there it is.
Yep. Ridge Racer 64 added. And as far as new releases go this week, the only thing that
light, I'd say.
Yeah, the only thing that was maybe notable at first was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate Casey Jones and the Junkyard Jam DLC is released on Wednesday, February 5th. But then I remembered that Splintered Fate is the mobile game, right? Not the kind of like retro arcade throwback.
So it is not the retro arcade throwback, and it was originally a mobile game, originally an Apple Arcade game. But yeah, it's almost a Hades-like. I obviously did not find it as engaging as Hades, but I don't know. It's always good when a roguelike like this gets some like serious DLC. I'm sure the Casey Jones stuff is fun, But Casey Jones and the Junkyard Jam is a very funny title.
Oh, it's a good name.
So I'm glad we bring it up, if for no other reason than the good name.
I also just want to kind of give a reminder that if there's anything that you're excited about, listener, on the new releases that we either like is coming out this week that we glossed over or is coming up in the future that you feel like we should know about, we would love to hear it because it's a weird, thin time for new releases. So if there is anything that's notable or that people are excited about, we would love to know.
Because right now we're not excited.
For new releases,
for new
sure.
releases.
Yeah.
But there's got to be something interesting out there, right? I mean, just probably not coming out on Switch this week. All right, Mark, that's those are the new releases. Let's close this segment out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, where a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. I saw Gladiator 2 this weekend. Gladiator 2. I saw it this weekend from my sick bed, the couch.
Yeah, how were you fever-wise? Like, do you feel like this was a
yes.
clean, fair viewing of Gladiator 2?
I do. I do feel as though this was a clean, fair, measured, and sensitive watching of Gladiator 2.
Okay, great. So I can trust these opinions.
You can trust them to be my opinions.
Perfect. Yes.
And first I just wanted to like take a temperature of like, what is your relationship to Gladiator, the original?
Yeah,
we're similar age,
right?
And I feel like we both had similar desire for like kind of epic movie stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm off a little bit.
Well, no, for me, okay, so growing up I wasn't allowed to watch R-rated movies. And so I didn't see Gladiator until later.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I wasn't in the mix when Gladiator was the cultural phenomenon. I saw it later and I liked it.
Right. So wait, you did not see it in the theater?
Then? No, I didn't see Gladiator in theaters.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I think I was probably like 16 or 17 when it came out in what, 2000?
I think that's right.
2001, yeah. Something like that. So I was like 17, 18. So I was able to see it in the theater. Plus my buddy Brandon was working in a movie theater, so like you could get into anything. But I really liked Gladiator and had like the original soundtrack. I had that CD and like wore it out. Listened to it all the time. Have like all those pieces of music just like tattooed on my brain. So Gladiator was a very important part of my life for a brief period. And then, like 20 years passed.
Yeah, if you had to guess, when's the last time you've seen the original Gladiator?
Well, Sarah and I watched it recently.
Oh, okay.
Because we wanted to go to the theater to see Gladiator 2 in, over Thanksgiving.
Sure, yeah.
And just that the second part of that didn't materialize. But that was probably the first time I'd seen it in 20 years.
Okay.
I was just like, I was alive again. It was like, Gladiator. So had you wanted to see Gladiator 2? Or?
Yeah, okay. I was interested in seeing it. Now, does Gladiator 2 have direct connective tissue to the first one?
Mark, it sure does.
Okay.
Including some characters, even some actors carrying over.
Oh. So how far in the future of the Gladiator universe?
Yes.
That's the weirdest way I can ask that. How long after the first
How much time has left?
Yeah. Those are the words.
Enough time for a boy to grow up.
I see.
A notable boy from the first movie.
Okay.
There's only one. Grows up, has to become Gladiator himself.
I think it's really funny what we choose to spoil and not spoil on this show. Sometimes we'll just freely talk about like a game or an experience or something, and then other times
great point.
I mean, it's fine. I'm not.
We said we're talking about Gladiator 2. Yeah. I guess we didn't even say that. I just said I saw Gladiator 2 this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a boy.
There's a boy, and he has grown up.
Okay.
And he gets thrown into the gladiatorial pits. And there are all these like secrets to be revealed about who and what and why.
Sure.
But basically, it comes down to like him trying to, not directly, but like he's fighting what Rome has become. And there are these like twin emperors who are like foppish little dudes who are just like into hedonism of every kind. But it was look, the movie was pretty good, right? It kind of does a lot of what Gladiator 1 does in terms of like Coliseum set pieces, but they're all like not quite as good. But the thing where this movie differs is that it has a Denzel Washington in it.
I've heard he's really good in it.
He's very good in it. He plays a bigger part than you think based on the marketing material. Pedro Pascal, smaller part based on the marketing material. But like, everyone in these movies has this acting style that's this like very affected, very big, and just very self-serious. And Denzel Washington, he can give you that gravitas without being stuffy. He can still be fun. So I don't know. Yeah, it's like something to this recording of 433 ended without applause.
We hate it when that happens.
Because then I don't know when to stop talking about Denzel Washington.
Or Gladiator 2. Let me ask this.
Yes.
I do want to see Gladiator 2.
Yes.
Where did you watch it?
Paramount Plus.
Okay, so it's on Paramount Plus. This is not a ad.
No free ads.
And then the other thing I want to ask is, does this set up like a grander Gladiator universe? Are they like, oh, we're planting the seeds in case we want to come back for Gladiator 3? Because I wouldn't say that the first one did that.
No, the first one feels like a pretty definitive end. Yeah. And like, yeah, is like the end of the Maximus and Commodus story. And I would say that this one feels similarly definitive.
Okay.
But who knows?
Sure, 20 years from now.
Rome wasn't conquered in a day. Right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
That famous
thing.
Hey,
right. All right, Mark, we were accompanied today by the Randolph College Chamber Orchestra. Let's get into the news.
So just want to acknowledge up front that in just a few hours from when we're recording, Nintendo will release their third quarter earnings.
Mm-hmm.
And usually in that drop, we get some news, we get some updates. So we'll be covering all of that, all the interesting stuff out of it anyways.
Right, not all of it.
Next week.
Because there's going to be someone that is like, are you ever going to make another Crash Bandicoot?
Right.
Like, we don't make that game.
So yeah, I look forward to that next week. Okay.
Do you think, is there any, I had seen there was like a little bit of scuttlebutt over the weekend of like, maybe there's going to be a direct on Wednesday. And then like other people being like, there's not going to be no direct on Wednesday. And then other people being like, sometimes they do it right after these earnings calls. What do you think, Mark?
On a practical level, I'm trying to think of the last time that there was like a Nintendo presentation that truly dropped out of the blue. And I think it's been so long.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Like even like the Indie World showcases, I feel like, leakers and insiders are giving some sort of heads up online. So for that reason alone, it feels unlikely to me, but that would be cool if they managed to keep it entirely under wraps.
It would be cool. And then we'd have to put off ranking Donkey Kong's villains for another week.
Yet again. Okay. Nintendo has revealed the Switch 2. We know there's going to be a direct to talk about the games on the Switch 2 on April 5th. And now we possibly know...
Wait, April 2nd, right?
April 2nd. Sure. That I wrote that down without looking it up. So,
okay.
So I believe that
Let's
you're
get on
probably
the same
right.
page, because it's April 2nd.
April 2nd.
The day after April Fool's Day.
That is right. That's how we'll forever remember it. Okay, so on April 2nd, the day after April Fool's Day, and now we possibly know the dimensions of the Switch 2's plastic game packaging, thanks to French retailer Fnac.
Okay, great. This is good. This is good information.
Yeah.
We got to start measuring our shelves now, right?
Right. So the reported dimensions are 19.5 centimeters by 13 centimeters.
Okay, now that's a problem. Because I'm not quite sure how big a centimeter is.
Right, yeah. So someone found this information in a Fnac listing for a Take-Two interactive game for the Switch 2. So I think it's one of those, like, placeholder listings.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so someone made a mock-up that was going around Reddit, and it seems like it's about the same size as PlayStation and Xbox packaging is currently.
Which makes a lot of sense. The PlayStation, the original Switch game boxes are small.
Yeah, they are. Kind of reminds me of in some ways. Oh, this is actually really bad, but I started talking like it's not good. What I'm about to say is not a good comparison, but I already started going down this road,
So
so
you
I'll
have to
complete
finish
it.
it, right?
It's like the GameCube's mini discs
Ooh.
to just a full-sized DVD.
The thing is, like the GameCube, the discs were small, but the boxes they came in normal size.
I know. See, now you're understanding why I regretted
Oh
going down
yeah,
that
it's
road,
bad.
and yet it was the road that I chose.
It is weird, and let's discuss for a second if we like it or not. That when you look at a shelf, you can identify, oh, those are Wii games versus oh, those are Switch games, just by the size of the box.
I do think it's good.
I think it's good too.
I think so.
Um, but there is also something to like with the DS and 3DS. Those boxes are all the same size, right?
I think so.
And the Wii and the Wii U, those are like standard DVD size cases. Um, it does sort of imply that they want a larger physical difference on a store shelf between Switch games and Switch 2 games.
Right. You have to wonder what is driving this because the larger packaging just means that it's more expensive to ship.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's nothing points to the cards themselves getting any bigger. And so is it to make it easier for retailers to fill up space? Like I don't like
Oh yeah.
what is driving it? Like what possibly
I mean, I wonder if it's just like you say, it looks more like a like standard PlayStation 5 like game case,
Right. Right.
So I mean, I wonder if like that's it, and that like they're just all going to the same supplier, and they were like, yeah, we can do a little thing that holds the cart in there instead of a disc.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I don't know if you were joking or not, but it's like 7.68 inches by like 5.3 inches.
Okay, thank you for
I don't know
for
if
looking it
that's helpful at all, but
No, I can picture it clearly now.
Last week, Pokemon trading card game Pocket, the mobile app, launched its anticipated trading feature. And it's clear that in this first iteration, the developers were trying their best to prevent abuse, but the backlash against how it was implemented has been pretty loud.
And let's just talk for a second about various abuses in like the Pokemon card game world. This is not like the trading card or the pocket version, but like in the real world, you know, in the last couple weeks there have been like these resupplies of like new cards and stuff like that. And they have these like Pokemon card vending machines. And scalpers are just like going to them and like literally buying them out, spending like thousands of dollars so that like the next people who come can't buy any. So like the Pokemon space is ripe for abuse in this way. So I think they're right to try something.
Right. Yeah, I think so. So basically, and I have not played this myself, so this is just my understanding based on what I was reading, that the way it works when it was introduced, the way it works right now, is that cards that are being traded have to be the same rarity level.
Okay.
And only cards with the rarity of 1 to 4 diamonds and 1-star cards can be traded. That's all I know. I you know,
Right.
if you want to know like
a follow-up question,
exactly. If you want to know
a blank stare.
what do the diamonds mean? What is a 1-star card?
Right.
I don't know. Trade tokens are required. This is a currency that is gained by trashing cards. So if you have cards in your deck that you don't want anymore, if you get rid of them, that grants you trade tokens, and those are required to initiate a trade or to finish a trade. And then trading uses stamina, which is regained by another item called a trade hourglass. And these are found through like rewards, through doing missions and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So it really it sounds like what they're trying to cut down on is people trading willy-nilly, right? And also trade. I would imagine that the rarity needs to be between 1 and 4 diamonds or 1-star cards. That they are not letting you trade garbage cards
for like really great cards
for really
or something
great
like that.
cards.
Yeah, because they have to be the same rarity level.
Right. But it just means like forcing people to treat the market as like an actual trading market, which with the advent of the sort of like wonder trades in the recent like Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield, that like you can just put up a Pokemon for trade and like get it from the ether from someone out there, the Pokemon you're looking for. And this just seems like a more restrictive, or it's like they're restricting that you just like can't do that.
Right. And there's a lot of stuff in here in order to make a trade. Like you have to have two different types of items that you get in two different ways.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of restrictions. So the development team released a statement on Friday last week saying that they hear the feedback. It's actually a pretty long statement, I would say, but it reads in part, quote, "We understand some of the restrictions put in place are preventing players from being able to casually enjoy the feature as intended. We are actively investigating ways to improve the feature to address these concerns. Going forward, we also plan to offer multiple ways to obtain trade tokens, including through event distributions." So not just from having to trash cards. Because that in and of itself, especially in a game that is built around like you opening as many packs as you can possibly afford, making people like trash their cards, I could see how that would be a problem.
But like when you open a pack of cards, like you usually end up excited
There's
about
going to be
one
trash.
of them. There is going to be like literal trash in there, right?
Yeah.
Like an actual, like a
trash Pokemon, a trash type.
Right. Or like some leftover turkey.
Sure, yeah.
That's
got to be a Pokemon.
Or like a Band-Aid.
Oh, right.
Right. I'm saying like actual
trash.
Oh,
and literal trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand now.
And look, I know Garbodor or whatever, that there is a trash Pokemon. That's not what I mean.
No, you mean literal trash.
Yes.
And you mean April 2nd, the day after April Fool's.
That's right.
Yeah, we're on the same page. That's all. I don't have anything else to say about the trading card Pokemon thing.
No, but it is something that is becoming more and more like relevant in the world adjacent to Nintendo and like part of Nintendo, that I'm like, we don't really know Pokemon, and then we really don't know the Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah, totally.
And I can't, Mark.
No.
I can't learn about a trading card game.
No, you're referring to you've sworn off trading card games after Magic the Gathering.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I can't go back on that.
No.
So, Mark, good luck. As
true. It's on me.
Pokemon the trading card game.
The special Pokemon trading card. Well, really, just Pokemon correspondent.
Can you be a correspondent if you're a host of the show?
I'd have to put on my it'd have to be a separate. Do you know what? We'll get into the.
It'll be a separate character. I like it. Yeah. Mitch Markle.
The long lost twin brother of former German Chancellor Angela Merkel's.
Yeah, but they say their last names a little bit differently.
Well, that's just the accent,
right? Sure.
He didn't grow up in Germany, so it just sounds different,
right? And like just now, when you said like Angela instead of like Angela, like that's the same name.
We're discovering it as we go.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Animal Crossing New Horizon is hosting a limited time Valentine's Day event in Japan exclusively,
what the heck?
Yeah. Well, I think it's because there's a physical prize component of it.
Oh.
And they're like, we can only deal with this in a single region.
Right. Don't make us do this worldwide.
Yeah.
Right.
So, this new event is happening now, runs through February 14th. And the event introduces new Heart Chocolate and Heart Rose Bouquet in-game items that you can gift to your fellow island residents.
Okay. But we can't get those in the States, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
1,000 players. So this is the part where I think they're like, oh, we're making this exclusive to Japan. 1,000 players who partake in the event and give those items away on their island will be randomly selected to receive a prize, which are like physical badges based on Tom Nook, Isabelle, and Brewster.
Okay, so we've already answered the question of why not everywhere. But Mark, why not 4 years ago?
Right.
Like,
why now?
Why now?
Yeah.
They've not touched Animal Crossing New Horizon in so long.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's part of a marketing, continued marketing beat to push Switch sales before the Switch 2 comes out?
I guess
Switch on top of mind?
I guess so. I mean, one of the things that you and I have talked about frequently on the show is that the extra marketing beats for games after their launch don't make any sense. Like the Tetris 99 stuff,
Right.
the Super Mario Brothers Run integrations don't they don't line up neatly with like releases of things, and like they update stuff like way after you think they should, like updating Super Mario Run at all ever. Um, yeah, it just this just to me falls in that same pile of like we don't. This doesn't make a ton of sense. We don't know, and we'll never know why they're doing this now.
Yeah, exactly. Especially from the outside, where it's like, oh yeah, we can try to like logic it together based on what they're trying to achieve with their earnings and all that stuff. But it's also possible that they just had 1,000 of these badge sets seen around,
Yeah,
you
great
know,
point.
that were like a misprint, or they didn't know what else to do with. And so, but like to create a whole in-game event around it just for Japan, I don't know. It's interesting.
It makes me think that they probably have like just piles and piles of like items, unique items that they created for Animal Crossing that they're just like waiting to release just in case.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or that were like in beta and never used, or they like
Totally.
had started developing additional events and then changed their plans or whatever. Yeah. So following up on those 1,000 sets of
tell
badges.
me more about the badges.
Okay, so if you're one of those 1,000 people who are selected, you'll be notified via your Nintendo account the following week, like the 20th of February, and then there's like a time limit on when you can claim your prize, and if a large number of them go unclaimed, then an additional lottery may be held.
So they don't even know what they're doing.
The other thing that's part of this event is that special Valentine's Day conversations with in-game residents will only take place on February 14th. So there's special Valentine's Day conversations that you can only have with residents on February 14th.
But you and I cannot have these.
I don't think so. I think it's all part of this Japan exclusive event.
Well, what kind of Japan or what kind of Valentine's Day conversations are they able to have?
I know. That's a great question.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Why
It's a
don't
really
I get
good
to have
question.
Look, I want to go in there. I want to have a Valentine's Day conversation with Sherb, the blue goat who still lives on my island. I'll never let him leave. And why don't I get that?
Also, why? Maybe
also, I'm not going to do that.
Maybe it's like
I'm not going out on Valentine's Day.
Maybe it's like a localization thing. Like maybe it's just I don't know.
There's so much about the game that's already localized.
I know,
right?
but yeah, it's just like why not?
Also, is the game not a big enough hit in America? Like
that
what's
can't be true,
on? Right?
Yeah, like even if you weren't going to give out the physical badges, because that feels like a secondary part of it. There's no integration in the game, really.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Interesting. Just one for the Japanese fans.
Have at it, Japanese fans.
This one feels timely because, you know, we've been playing Donkey Kong, the arcade game for NCS Arcade. A speedrunner named Cosmic shared in a YouTube video that they were able to use a glitch to get past the game's infamous kill screen.
Okay.
So yeah, we're talking about the kill screen of the original Donkey Kong arcade game. And so what is the kill screen? So
yes.
Donkey Kong's US, like the international or like US version, is the one that's used for competitive play. And that's something that I was not really aware of until I started playing the arcade archives versions of these games for NCS Arcade. Is that when you boot it up, especially the original Donkey Kong, there's 3 different versions for you to choose from. So the US arcade release is the one that is used for competitive play, and it maxes out at the first barrel stage of level 22.
And for the purposes of this conversation, levels means like laps through the game.
Yep.
So when you beat the 4th level of Donkey Kong, it starts you back over at the 1st level, but things are a little bit more intense, a little bit harder. That constitutes a new level.
Yeah, there's like a glitch in the game's bonus counter algorithm where the game prematurely ends. So you're supposed to have like more time. You're supposed to have like 4,000 clicks of this bonus timer before to complete the stage before it's like game over. But for whatever reason, the logic when you start that first barrel stage of level 22 only gives you 400 clicks, which is just not enough time.
You can't get up there, no matter how many times you've practiced it on Nintendo World Championships NES Edition.
So 44 years since the game has been out, this has been as far as players have been able to make it in the game. Now, important to note that there's a separate glitch involving manipulation around broken ladders that allows Jumpman / Mario to ascend up the screen really quickly without taking any damage. So basically, what Cosmic did was use that glitch and combine it with the kill screen. So now, by doing like coordinate manipulation at the broken ladder at the beginning of that first barrel stage, he's able to like ascend the stage without taking any damage really quickly, and so that gets him past the that glitch.
So it's actually you reach the top of the level fast enough, even with that super short bonus timer.
Yes, to complete it. And then he was able to, after doing that, he was able to progress for another 5 levels using the glitch, but can't get past the like rivet screen because there are no broken ladders on that one. So eventually,
got it.
Time just runs out. So first of all, very cool that somebody was able to figure this out and do it. Important to note that like Cosmic was saying there's like a 1 in 1,024 chance of it working. So the odds are very small, and he had to use a like frame advance program to slow things down in order for him to be able to accomplish it, because in real time he would have had to move the joystick back and forth 24 times a second.
Okay, so this was
in order to
all right.
Yeah, so it's not like humanly possible.
Right.
It's just like additional manipulations were found within the game code that
make it theoretically possible.
Yeah, it's like a task run type thing. Like tool assisted, you can do it, but not like a human could never really get past the kill screen.
So I know that really high level Tetris NES players do rolling with a controller, which is where they or tapping, I think is what it's called, where you the NES controller is actually like upside down on your leg, and you are like kind of playing it backwards from the back of it by tapping it.
That's incredible.
And like kind of rolling it on your knee. And I don't know how that's too fast. Too fast for your fingers is too fast for your brain, as far as I'm concerned. But like that people have used that to play Tetris in blindingly fast ways. But even that, how many times can you hit back and forth in 1 second?
Right. Like, what is somebody's
what is
the fastest like actions per second that anyone's ever done?
Right. And also, how could you be frame perfect with that?
Right.
I'm a frequent visitor to a music theory subreddit, which is hilarious in that like there are some like really dumb questions in there, where it's like you just don't know music like at all, and you're asking music theory questions. Like, why? But someone had notated a run that was all 16th notes coded, right? Like they were like marked as 16th notes, but as though they were triplets. You know, they're triplets if you're like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
I'm laughing because I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
So this is how rhythm is notated.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So you would put like a little 3 above that group of notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So instead of like da 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 da. But instead of, and you'll see triplets a lot. Occasionally you'll see something silly like 5 or 7. But those are like extreme. This had 27 over it. It was just like, that is unplayable. You can't expect a performer or a whole group to play that together. And just thinking about like trying to hit 24 times back and forth in a second with frame perfect accuracy. It's the same basic thing as someone requesting, how do you notate this? It's just like, you don't. You're asking impossible things. Check out that music theory subreddit. It's wild.
Finally, in Alarmo's slow but steady march to world domination,
the Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo?
Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo, Nintendo announced that guests staying at 7 hotels near Universal Studios Japan and Osaka can borrow Alarmos from the front desk in order to experience Alarmo for themselves. The hotels are Oriental Hotel, Universal City, the Singulari Hotel and Sky Spa at Universal Studios Japan, the Parkfront Hotel, Universal Studios Japan Hotel, Kinetsu Universal City Hotel, Keihan Universal Tower Hotel, Universal Port Hotel, and Universal Port Vita.
Does this sound like the worst idea to you?
I mean, let's see. If I didn't own an Alarmo and I was checking in at a hotel that had Alarmos, I might be willing to check one out.
Okay, so you can convince me that I'm buying a product that watches me sleep, but doesn't actually watch me sleep, isn't actually a camera, like it's using different technology to know whether I'm moving or present or not. You cannot get me to rent that same thing from a hotel.
No, you're right. Would I trust that somebody hasn't modified this Alarmo in some way?
Yeah.
And replace the sensor with a camera? No, I don't know that I'd fully trust that.
I think you have to assume that the hotel is a pervert and that they have modified an Alarmo.
I mean, look.
Which should be a sin, by the way.
Yeah, it is safest to bring your own personal Alarmo with you
and we've
to
always
a hotel.
Said this. We've always said this.
Yeah, it's definitely safest.
When you go to a hotel, bring your own Alarmo.
Your own Alarmo. It's
common sense.
It's just better for your peace of mind. You'll sleep better, with your own Alarmo.
And hey, it's worth the $100. What do you think it costs to rent an Alarmo?
I don't think it costs you anything, to be
completely
honest.
It's free?
I think that they really want people to be excited about Alarmo.
Oh yeah, can borrow from the front desk.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, I wouldn't take that as gospel. I wrote that. It's not like I copied it from their press release or anything.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
I didn't have that vetted.
There may be a fee involved.
There might be a fee.
Right. And it may be like a hidden thing that you don't realize until later and be like, what's this $4 charge on here for?
Right. But I think it's in their best, why not? Why not let people try out Alarmos?
Right. And the only way that you can try out an Alarmo is to sleep next to one.
Right. Yeah. And so it makes sense. You're staying at Universal Studios Japan. You're excited about going and seeing the new Donkey Kong roller coaster. So yeah. So it makes sense to me that they would do it there.
So I've yet to unplug my Alarmo. But it displays like sleep records for me at like the end of the week or whatever. Are you think they're like resetting them or like clearing them all the way out when
it must be synced to like special Nintendo accounts or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because don't you have to have a Nintendo online account to
No, you don't even I mean you had to originally have a Nintendo online account in order to buy it. Obviously that's not the case anymore. But I didn't connect mine to the internet for a while.
Oh, I remember you saying that, yeah.
Until I was like ready to get the new update for it.
But I'm guessing that they'll have some sort of like instructions to it because you would need to set it up, and like,
yeah.
And you would need to know to turn the dial and push the dial to do things like set the scene that you want or, say where you're putting it in the room and that sort of thing.
I would also say that like when you're in a hotel, likely you're on vacation. Right? And the Alarmo is definitely pitched as like a routine object, right? It's not super easy to change the time of your alarm. Like it's easy enough. It's only a couple button presses, but it's a little bit hidden. And it wants you to set a bedtime. And that's also not a thing that like is so easy that you're just like, every day you're just like bedtime is this, wake up time is this. It wants you to be like, here are my routine bedtimes, my routine wake up time, and then like it holds you to that. But like you're on vacation, you're going to Super Nintendo World, you're not on a routine, right?
Right.
Like there's no easy way currently to just inform the Alarmo that you want it to be in like sleepy time mode right now. What you have to do is you have to set a bedtime, which is after the current time, and then come to bed after bedtime.
Well, maybe they are explaining all of that. You rent the Alarmo, and really what we need is a special correspondent to go over to Japan, stay at one of these 7 hotels near Universal Studios Japan and find out exactly how it works. And I'm already booked.
Right, to learning about. Well, you're already booked, or Mitch Markle is already booked.
Mitch Markle's already booked.
Right.
He's flying back and forth from
here's
Germany.
The thing. If you are ever going to like speak in the voice of Mitch Markle, I need some like advance notice. Who I'm talking to.
Okay. Well, obviously my physicality will help with that a lot.
Sure, right.
Like there'll be clear delineation. But what I'm saying is that Mitch Markle already is on assignment.
Sure, he's busy.
So I think you and whoever your character is going to be should be on. You're already kind of the Alarmo expert
That's true.
on the show.
L. Patters?
L. Patters.
L. Patters is the Alarmo correspondent.
And Mitch Markle.
We're sending them both to Japan to learn about various things. All right, Mark, let's close this out. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you're not in our Discord, you should be there. Email us. We'll send you an invitation, all that good stuff. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening. Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we move to Japan so we can finally exchange Valentines with Tom Nook. I'll cut it when we're done. There are secrets where fairies don't live, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society is where fairies don't live with you. How would this even be happening? What is this? Why is it slow? Huh?
Do you happen to have the speed on Apple Music, like the playback speed? Can you change that?
I don't know. I don't know think so.
Do we just straighten out the electrical cord or the electrons moving too slowly?
I think we need an exorcist.